Do you ever notice how we'll risk an entire marriage for the dumbest little comforts? Like you'll destroy your connection with your spouse for the sweet reward of scrolling on your phone instead of having an adult conversation. Or sure, maybe my marriage is falling apart, but at least I've got Wi-Fi, popcorn, maybe some health insurance. It's really wild. Humans are basically the only species in the world that would rather keep arguing about the thermostat for like 15 years than admit they're scared of intimacy. And because change is uncomfortable and hard, and relationships shouldn't be hard anyway, right? Because that's uncomfortable, and I don't want to deal with uncomfortable things. That's what therapists call a secondary gain, the hidden payoff you get for staying stuck. Every time you avoid, you blame, you martyr yourself, you get a little reward, while your marriage quietly bleeds out. Well, hey, I'm Ed, and this is the Voyage Cast, offering help beyond the office for the days when life demands a little more than just a session. Now, don't get me wrong, most couples swear they want things to change, and I believe they really do. But then when push comes to shove and they have to put in the work, the same arguments cycle again and the same problems cycle again. They really start avoiding the same conversations more and more. They make the same promises and they don't uphold them. Well, why? Why do we remain in these stuck dysfunctional patterns? Because somewhere along the line, this dysfunction is giving them some kind of payoff. That's what makes secondary gain so destructive, actually, is it's a trick. It tricks us into thinking we're protecting ourselves when really we're protecting the very patterns that are killing intimacy. Take avoidance as an example. Nobody wakes up planning to ruin their marriage with a phone screen. But every time I check out to keep the peace, I'm choosing short-term relief over long-term repair. I might prefer my digital wife over the real one. Or what about blame? If I keep the story that my spouse is the problem, I don't have to look in the mirror, do I? That's the great trick of this. It feels safer, but it guarantees the same fights keep playing on repeat. And sometimes the payoff is practical. The house, the health insurance, the stability of the kids under one roof, the appearance when you go to church of respectability. If you've watched the show Succession, Shiv and Tom's marriage is basically an icebox, but they both keep the arrangement because it pays. Status, access, and power. That's secondary gain in total action. Better to stay stuck and miserable with perks than risk honesty and lose the platform that I have. Most of us don't have billions of dollars, of course, or major companies at stake. But we do make the same trade-offs: security over truth, image over intimacy, comfort over depth. And the payoffs aren't always financial. Sometimes they're emotional. Take the power of suffering. If I'm the victim, I can shut down without any guilt at all. If I'm the martyr, I get the moral high ground, don't I? If I'm the caretaker, I get control without looking controlling. Pain itself becomes a currency, and the more I spend it, the more it controls the relationships. Then there's the deepest ones. Old stories. I'm unlovable. People always leave. Can't trust men. You can't trust women. When the marriage mirrors those wounds back to me, it feels like proof, like a confirmation bias. It's miserable, but it's familiar. And familiar feels safe than risking a new story or risking conflict, which is the thing we need actually to get out of this old story. This is why therapy can feel like running in circles sometimes. Couples can learn skills, practice communication, make plans, but if one or both partners is still chasing that payoff from the dysfunction, nothing's going to stick. You can't heal what you're still profiting from. That's why couples therapy, the show on Showtime, resonates so deeply. You can actually watch in real time as avoidance buys a moment of peace but multiplies conflict later, or how playing the injured one gives someone control of the room until they finally name it. That's the turning point, though. Once the payoff is seen for what it is, repair becomes possible. Secondary gains make people feel safer than repair, unfortunately. Until they're exposed, the marriage will stay stuck, no matter how many tools a therapist tries to give you, or no matter how many sessions you actually have. So here's the challenge I'm going to leave you with today. What really is the payoff? What's the thing you're clinging to? Is it the relief of avoidance? The ego boost of blame? The stability of finances? The safety of martyrdom? The validation of old wounds? The moral authority of being a victim? Whatever it is, until you name it, you can't change it. And yes, letting go feels terrifying because you're letting go of that safety blanket. It feels like losing something important to you, losing something close to you, losing control, losing the story you've lived and carried for so many years. But the truth is, you've already been losing something. You've been losing the most intimate, valuable, trustworthy relationship you could ever have, and the future you hoped for, well, that's gone. When you said I do, you really are saying I don't. The question isn't whether you lose something. The question is, will you keep losing the marriage or the most intimate relationship you have for the sake of the scraps of comfort that you might get by holding on to those ruts? If you want to dig deeper into this kind of thing, find a therapist. Get help. Let them be injected into your negative cyclical patterns in your relationship, and let them see what's really happening so they can put a wrench in that wheel and stop you from negatively cycling and help you find new ways to unlock intimacy and to reject these old patterns and protest the things that are harming you. And a good way to protest is to raise your own army, to get support, to find a therapist. If you want to come see us here at Voyage Counseling, reach out at voyagescounseling.com. If you need to find a therapist in your area, there's tons of great resources. Just search the internet, but do not do this alone. And one caveat about finding a therapist that you should know, if you find somebody you don't really like, fire them. It's okay. You're not stuck with them. Move on, find somebody else. No hard feelings. If a therapist has hard feelings, that represents their own insecurities and fears. Okay, we're here to help you, not there for ourselves. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Voyage Cast. I appreciate you tuning in and joining me. And if this meant something to you, then share it with somebody else. It might mean something to them too. And don't forget to subscribe and give us 5 stars. The algorithm overlords need this. And they need this because this is the way that we get more traction, the way that we get a greater reach to help more people in the community beyond the office like we're helping you today. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.